Right, that title is partially a clickbait, right? You see, the story which I will share with you today is much broader, for sure. It's not a matter of equation, Witcher 3 equals nationalism. It's rather a story of a migrant who moved out of Poland to UK and couldn't speak the language, started eventually escaping into different realities. My name is 𝐿𝐿𝐶𝐫𝐜𝐡, and you're experiencing Escape from Systema. Before we begin, remember that you can support this channel by leaving a like, writing a comment, and subscribing. You can also visit our website and browse through our collections of clothing and accessories. Persona, it's not a style, it's an energy. Either you feel it and you've got it, or you don't. Thank you. Now, let us get into it. By the end of 2014, I moved out of Poland, leaving all my life behind. This sudden change was drastic and emotionally painful. I've lost my friends, my home, all in exchange for sleeping on the floor, being isolated from the outside world. I had nothing when I came here, but I had an old laptop, which let me delve into the world of 𝐿𝐿𝐴 in some shape or form. Click here to see what 𝐿𝐿𝐴 taught me in my life. Anyway, I was isolated, later bullied at school and home, and then The Witcher 3 came out, and it was like a safe passage to a Polish medieval dream. An escape to freedom that I begged and hoped for.
Once we were many, now we are few. Hunters, killers of the world's filth, witchers, the ultimate killing machines. Among us, a legend, the one they call 𝐿𝐴𝐴𝐻 of Rivia, the White Wolf.
I cried, I laughed, and truly I experienced something unique on the spectrum of gaming. Before the release, I wasn't paying much attention to the culture of my country. In fact, when I was still in Poland on one of the exams, I made an obvious jokes and some sort of a satire of a well-known Polish book. Well, my head teacher didn't take it lightly. She wanted to call the police. Things got serious. Now I look at it and I feel pity because the person who taught me couldn't clearly differentiate from me having a disciplinary and family problems to me making fun of the notable Polish book. Just for the kicks. Serious claims have been made towards me. We all talk that teachers need a pay rise, yet we forget that students sometimes have to struggle most because of bad teaching. Well, leaving that aside, even despite everything, my passion and love towards my country only grew after I moved to UK. Even before the release of The Witcher 3, I was rather hopeful, not certain but positively optimistic that this game might actually put CD Projekt Red on the map of gaming industry. Now the game is a reminiscence of my love towards Poland and art creation itself. Riding a roach was really a riding any horse for the first time in a video game. And here I like to cite my book Stigma, which will be released on 25th of January 2027. Freedom was in my grasp. Through the meadows and high mountains peaks, gallop to the east, watching the sunset in the distance and listening to the Percival. It all awakened something I had never expected, a sense of patriotism. Lively Slavic folk music reminded me of the roots I had in Poland and the previous life in the distant past. Nostalgia? No. It was a real, raw, and mad emotion of love for the Witcher world. The truth is that The Witcher truly changed us. All of us. Before, many Poles saw patriotism as passé, and they didn't want to identify themselves with it due to propaganda shared among elites. But The Witcher reminded all of us what Poland stands for. Artists reignited patriotism in our generation's young hearts, yet politicians were often quick to claim the credit. You know, living abroad taught me something important. Patriotism is a virtue you often learn after leaving your homeland. Losing what I had allowed me to see Poland from the other side of the spectrum. I started to believe that my country is one of the greatest in the world. Tragic history didn't erase our spirit, because memory is immortal. And you know, that memory kept a little fire in me. But that fire only enlarged when I learned how deeply rooted in pain the history of Poland was. You see, our brothers and sisters, our ancestors, fought with all they had, how long they could, for the honorable virtues and safety of Europe. But honor itself is not a currency. It's not something you can count. And in real politics, all that matter is cold-blooded decisions which will eventually lead to success of your country. Because history is written by the victorious. We Polish people lost mostly on every bloody front of the Second World War, making reckless decisions, serving other nations, and not understanding the real strategy that could bring our nation a greater future. We were lost and sold to the Stalin's regime by our Western allies. All that is true, but me, later a 17-year-old boy who lost everything and now had to live in a betrayed us country, couldn't bear it. Polish propaganda tends to picture our country as a victim of unfortunate events, a Christ of Europe. But to really understand history, we all have to look from various perspectives at it. You see, Churchill couldn't care less about Poles. For him, Britain was the treasure he had to keep safe. Selling Poland to Soviet Union was just an easy strategic decision at this point. Was it honorable, nice, or fair? No, but you surely know how honorable people end their lives if you've seen the first season of Game of Thrones. To me, nationalism is some of a sort of extremism of patriotism, right? It doesn't mean necessarily that it's bad. On the contrary, when you govern your country, you should think first and foremost about your own nation, because people are depending on you. You're responsible for them. But a nationalist 17-year-old boy, that couldn't end well. So I became a fanatic. I didn't want to socialize with anyone in my class because I've seen all of their faces as the children of born lives with the privileges of the Western world, feeding on the corpses of my ancestors. I blamed them all for the life I had to live, because my country was economically poor and we couldn't make a living there. You see, the history of Poland is tragic, but we all should take a lesson from it. Celebrating our biggest defeats is in fact an emotional masochism, and I don't want to take part in that. Not anymore. You cannot build your identity entirely out of historical wounds. Eventually, remembrance must become creation rather than resentment. That's how stigma was created. I'd also rather look into the future with a smile, thinking that life is painful. But there are moments worth living for, and one of them in my life was the premiere of The Witcher 3. Truly. Magnificent. And I only hope that Witcher 4 will be as good and as much influential as its predecessor. That is all from me today. As always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for your time, take care, stay strong, and I will see you in the next one. Peace!